All right. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Progression Fantasy Podcast. My name is Joel. I'm your host. And today we are talking Millennial Mage. Now, to help me with this, I have two amazing fellows with me. In the top right screen, we have Paul. Paul's been on here before. He's a good friend of mine. He's been in the Lit RPG community for a while now. He does a lot of merch stuff. He's got his hat on now. I don't know if you want to talk about that or not.
Yeah, I'd say so I own the Dungeon Meetup, and I do a little bit of this and a little bit of everything. I primarily aim towards doing merch for lit RPG authors, and in that space, I try to accompany their books and try to promote to just spread the word and you know help out in the community as much as I can.
Yeah. So definitely go check him out. And also joining us in the bottom screen, the man of the hour, J.L. Mullins, author of Millennial Mage. How you doing?
Good. Thank you for having me. I feel honored to be here and to chat with you, gentlemen.
Yeah, should be fun. This was a very, very good book. I got told about this book through Jared. He does the Long Winded One podcast, and I was on his podcast a couple weeks ago, and we were talking about Millennial Mage, and that was a good time. But no, I was very excited to be able to go back. And so, like, during that episode, I was only able to read book one.
Mhm.
So now I'm in like book, I'm probably midway through book three
Okay.
currently. And I've been really enjoying what I've been reading so far. So
I'm glad. Thank you.
yeah. To kick it off, would you like to give us a little quick synopsis of the story?
Absolutely. Yeah. So, the story of Millennial Mage is a coming of age story for Tala. At least that's how it begins. She starts the series as a new graduate from the Magical Academy, and she's looking to bluff her way into her first paid position. You learn pretty early on in the story that the way the society is set up, she really should be in a low level entry position, but she has the skills and believes that she's capable of doing more. And so she kind of finagles her way into a full higher level position. And then from there, the story follows her progression through previously hidden levels of advancement as she explores the dangerous world that's called Zine.
Yeah, sounds about right.
I do make some mistakes, but
No, that's pretty accurate, and we'll get into a little more of that later. Paul, I am really interested to hear what your take is because we haven't talked about this yet. What are your thoughts on the book?
So, I mean, one, it being narrated by Tess Irondale, it was really good. I enjoy her narration. So it definitely was easy to get into because before now I've only read book one. But it was a good read. I enjoyed it. It was kind of a fake it till you make it kind of situation. She was like, I'm just gonna bluff my way through this, and definitely like encounter some it's situations, I would say, throughout the book. But it was interesting to see like how she progressed through it, and like how she interacted with the world and stuff like that. So I mean, I really enjoyed it. I had a fun time with it.
well, thank you.
Yeah, there's definitely aspects that I love and aspects that I wasn't as not used to. Let's put it that way. So I would say like normally we're used to a lot of like, at least me, I'm used to a lot of like fast paced series. getting through like book 3 and being like, she's literally gone to another city and back. All that's happened in this like, but no, so it is a slower pace,
Mhm.
and that's definitely something I had to get used to. But there are also aspects that I really enjoy. So like the slow pacing allows you to uh, develop the world
Mhm.
more, and I love world building. I love the mechanics, the magic, like everything. So those are aspects that I just fell in love with the story. So
Well, thank you.
yeah, um, I mean, was there any aspects that you really enjoyed, Paul?
Um, so I mean, I did like, I would say like I enjoyed the kind of like coming of age type story. Like, it wasn't the immediately like just an overpowered, like, immediately she had some crazy power that just makes her so ridiculous that she, is unstoppable. So like I like the like, I don't know, I guess the humanity of it, the fact that, she is a believable character, and she's, like, while she does, find advantages, she's not just so OP that it's like, okay, well, this is kind of pointless in the fact that there is no stopping her. So
Mhm.
that I enjoyed that part of it. Like the introspective of, her having gone to a mage academy and coming out and being like, having to like to figure it out. Um I don't know. It's a good story. It's like, it's it makes me want to know more about her, and not just like, not just what she does, but who she actually is.
Yeah, she's definitely been a fun character to write as she's developed through both through the years on my side and the years on her side. Um, and it's really funny to see. I mean, I imagine you all have interacted with the Royal Road quite a lot, and the community there is it's a great community, but also they'll tell you what you think or what they think. And it's been really fun to see some people come in and be like, no one would ever act this way. Like, what's going on? And then someone else comes in and says, I had a grad student roommate. This is exactly what they would have done, like to the letter, and just kind of the fun back and forth with that of sort of. I personally think that good stories reveal aspects of humanity that we may not have been exposed to just in our normal lives. And I think that when Millennial Mage is at its best, it does that at least a little bit. And I've had some people tell me that they really appreciate that aspect of it. Um, it's funny you talk about the slow pacing of the slice of life. That a lot of that is, especially when I started. I've been writing for years in a non-professional capacity before Millennial Mage was really the first story that took off. Um, and I had always had a hard time striking a balance between like, well, let's get to the story or let's like get through it. Like, how much do you actually tell? Because there are some stories where it's like, well, and they woke up and they stretched and they did this and they went to the bathroom and they went and they ate this. And like in some levels that can be fascinating if it's a different world. But then like you just said, Joel, it can also be like, wow, this is really minute. We're going through it at
Mhm.
every step. And so with Millennial Mage especially, I tried to lean into the aspect of having the reader come into her life so that even when we move to the parts where it's no longer like telling you everything she's doing, because you've seen her do so much, you can be like, oh, well, I know she did this. Like, I don't have to be told that she brushed her hair this time because I know that, like many people, especially many women, when they wake up in the hair or in the morning, one of the first things they do is brush their hair and make sure that it's not going to be a tangled mess, especially with longer hair. Obviously, shorter hair, not so much. But so just things like that, trying to establish it. And I mean, different people say I either leaned in too much or like, why didn't you say more? And I think it was a reasonable balance and a lot of fun. And with regard to the world building, that was a lot of fun. I loved doing the world building. And I think kind of taking the almost the tropish video game thing of, well, the wilds are dangerous but the cities are safe, It's like, well, why? Like, why would that make sense? Wouldn't the people want to, like, hey, that wild is right next to our city. Why do we let monsters be there? And so kind of trying to figure that out and like, why would that be that way, and kind of building from there. It was a lot of fun.
I mean, if I had any like perspective as far as like what should or shouldn't be like might be too much to include, is probably like, I don't know, you probably don't need like a dinner chapter like every 4 chapters.
See, that's a
But,
funny thing.
you
Is
know.
you say that, and I would say I grew as a writer in not having so much food talk later on, but I have had multiple readers come to me like, why isn't there as much food mentioned? I loved when it would go into the food. And I was like, really? Like, I had fun writing those, but some people really didn't like them at all. No, I do hear you. And it's a funny thing. I actually rewrote the first 80 chapters of Millennial Mage probably close to 8 times, like almost from scratch. And at some point my wife said, just like, you got to post this, like get that out there, or just move on to something else. And so 100%, if I could go back right now and rewrite it, I'd do it differently. I don't know exactly how it would land differently. It might be that I would totally mess it up and no one else would like it but me. But it's the funny thing of, it's hard to look back at something you've done. And so 100%, it's a flawed work. It's enjoyable still to me, and a lot of people enjoyed it, but
No,
I will
mean,
not claim perfection.
think it is very enjoyable. I'm not trying to like trash it at all. I'm trying to like say more as like, hey, this is like what's going to elevate your writing. Like, I want you to do well. I'm trying to be positive and also critical at the same time. It's a hard balance to strike.
More than fine. You could say, Josh, stop talking about food so much. Don't write when you're hungry.
Yeah. I'll make a joke. It'll be great.
I will always say that if the criticism isn't constructive, then it's useless. So as long as it's constructive criticism, then it's a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
But so now, when your wife was like, "Hey, you need to post this," is that when you went to Royal Road?
Mm-hmm. Basically, that's when I started posting in Royal Road, and it was a huge blessing, the timing, because I was reading on Royal Road, but I was still very beside the space. I wasn't delving deeply into it, and it was more like, I'll post this, I'll like get some feedback, maybe improve it some, and just by the timing of things, I started posting it like right before the write-a-thon that year in November. And so it happened to come out with a lot of other stories, and when people were in a place of looking for new things to read. And so then that went through November. It worked out pretty well. And then in December, C. Mantis, the writer of Path of Ascension, he actually he reached out to me and said, "Hey, I've been reading your story. Like, I like it. Are you okay if I like shout it out?" And I was like, "What's this? What's going on?" Okay, sure. And like he posted it, and like that brought a lot of readers to it. And Selkie from Dragon Eye Moon did a similar thing. And I genuinely credit a lot of the people who came over, especially at the beginning, to their shouts and them kind of plugging my series. And I think I try to do similar shouts when I can, because I want to pay it forward. But it's definitely, it was a kindness and the blessing, and almost like a happenstance. It's not that my writing was so great, everyone who read it like wanted to share it. It's like, no, just a couple of really kind people with a far reach were willing to point things my way.
Yeah. I am definitely very interested in getting further in the series. Like where I am in book 3, I'm like, can she become an Archon already? Like, she's talked about it so much. She's like, yeah, I'll probably do that tomorrow. I'm like,
and I was trying to channel what I had both in my own life and seen in people around me, that so often, even nowadays, when I read in progression, fantasy, and lit RPG, the people are almost inhumanly like not only motivated but like on top of things, because obviously the author has like a checklist beside them and they're making sure they go through it. And that especially makes sense when there's like this world ending disaster they have to go. Obviously your mind's going to be on the Dark Lord and what you need to do to destroy him. But in someone's daily life, there's so many things like, you know what, that would improve my life. I'll do it tomorrow. And I tried to, again, like you were saying, Paul, trying to make her a believable character in a world with, in a magical world, which is actually a funny thing. I'll slightly tangent that and then we can come back or move on. But in Harry Potter, like when I was reading that growing up, it always bothered me so much that people were like in the story were getting down on Hermione, because it's like anyone who discovers their magic, that there's magic when they didn't know about it before, like they're going to act that way. Like, this is amazing. And I felt that it was like the least realistic part was that more people didn't act like Hermione when it came to like suddenly discovering there's magic and wanting more of it. But so trying to find someone in a world where they've known about magic since the beginning. They've even now had years and years of schooling in it. So it's not, well, it's still like exploration for them. It shouldn't be like this special thing of like, oh, every single day I'm going to do as much as I can to gain more magic. It's almost become like every single day you and I could go lift weights and we would be stronger and we would be able to do more, but we don't go and lift weights every day, do we?
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
I mean, as a character, Tala is definitely driven more by her curiosity, and just, which is a way that you use to like explore the world, and having her discover it with like the different items she finds, the different like magical like berry juice, and like the animals, you know, Terry, I think that's his name. Yeah.
He is the best bird.
He is a good bird.
Terry the Terror Bird.
Mm-hmm. Which
Speaking
that's actually a
of
funny
names,
trope. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, speaking of names, she has this I don't know, this penchant for naming both animate and inanimate objects. You want to elaborate on that as far as like why you made that decision, and
Sure.
how much you loved coming up with names for things?
Sure. Part of it is, I think you're probably referring to one Terry the Terror Bird. Then she has a dimensionally expanded pouch that she names Kit, and then her knife that she names Flo. And it's part of that is a writing shortcut, so that I'm not saying like her knife. It's like, oh, I can say Flo sometimes, or other things. Same like she reached into her pouch. It's like, oh, she got it from Kit. It's just another way of naming it, which is also a really funny thing for many of the side characters that come in, where it doesn't matter what sex, what gender they are. I generally will pick based on who's in the scene and make it opposite, so I can he, she more. Again, just to make it easier in writing. And so that's kind of where like why she chose names for them. And then the names themselves, I feel like there's a fun or funny trope in lit RPG, progression fantasy, and a little bit less so in fantasy overall, of main characters just being terrible at naming. And so I tried to both lean into that a little bit, but also give names that I thought were punny and like still at least reasonable.
I'm honestly surprised she didn't give her dress a name.
You know, after all this time, it would have been convenient if I'd ever given it a name. I'm not sure what it would have been though. Yeah, I'll have to think about that. Maybe Toonie is like tunic or something. I don't know.
Now, Josh, are you a pantser or are you a planner?
See, that's an excellent question. So because I know that's oftentimes kind of put in those two boxes of like pantsing or plotting, and I think like you said it there, whether it was a slip of the tongue or on purpose, a planter. Because I would definitely say that I like that very much, like almost like a gardening, where like I try to plant things and plant seeds and like put it where I think I want it, but oftentimes what grows isn't what I thought would be there. And then I just kind of also other things grow like I don't remember planting that, but yeah, it fits there, so I'm not going to rip it out. And so yeah, so I think that's kind of what it is. Where overarching, I definitely have things that I'm aiming for and things that I'm trying to nurture and move forward. But I also am trying to let the story breathe and move where it wants to go. I mean, as an example, like I did not fully world build everything before I started writing, but I tried to kind of mirror the way that I was learning about different aspects of the world growing up, where like I didn't know what it was, but I could see like outlines of it. Like something fits here. I don't know what. It has kind of these features, but I don't know what yet. And so as Tala learns about more things in the early books and further on, instead of giving her objects, I tried to give her like gaps in her understanding where she's like finding the outsides of things. And I think that helped the world building land as more real to a lot of people. And also, honestly, it let me go longer before I actually had to fill in that gap. And so then I could pick what fit there based on later on in the story. And so it was a better through line, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that like, you know, being able to learn along with the character helps, you know, both the, you know, your understanding of it, because, you know, there's sometimes where, you know, there's the thing, and, you know, the character already knows the thing, but if they don't explain the thing to you, then you're just like, okay, well, I guess we're guessing at what this thing is, which, you know, I will have to say that some people are amazing and they come up with, you know, that thing all on their own, and they are like, you know, they can invent it. But for me, at least, I'd rather have it spelled out. You know, having to learn about it with them, you know, involves me in it. Okay, now I know what this thing is, how it interacts, how it works, how, you know, all these things. And so now I have a better understanding of it. So I like that, you know, aspect of it.
Very nice. Yeah, no, Sanderson does that very well in his books, where he like drops you in the world. He'll often choose a person who's kind of slightly on the outside so that you learn a little bit with them. But it's far more like sink or swim for his books. And I don't know. I will aspire to his level of world building at some level. His and Tolkien. I'd love to be as good a world builder as Tolkien, but I think most people would.
Yeah. I mean, this is definitely making sense with as far as to like some of the decisions that Tala makes. She'll like one thing that comes to the top of my mind is whenever she tries to learn like fighting from the what is it, like caravan guardsman or captain or whatever, and then she gets back to the like original city. Slight spoilers here because this is in book 2, and Holly's like, no, you shouldn't do that. Now I have to redo all this scripting, and you shouldn't work out more.
Yeah, and that's something I tried to have the magic system matter. Like, because you know there's the trope in fantasy of like, oh, the sorceress or mage rocks around like half naked. Like, why are they doing that? And so I tried to build the magic system in there of like, why would they want this free? Why are they fit? Well, because if your body size is changing, the magical tattoos you're getting are going to stretch or distort or change, which might make it do something else, which isn't great in a battle situation. And so, yeah, that was definitely a fun part to write of like, oh, you did this, you improved yourself physically, or at least like got stronger in that. It's like, oh, wait, that actually, like you said, messed up your magic a little bit. Let's fix that before you go boom.
Yeah. It's just, it feels like you were like planting different seeds and then you decided which way you wanted to go based on like Holly's reaction or something. I don't know.
A little bit. A little bit was trying to move things through logically. And like most things when we're thinking, at the beginning, you don't have all the information when you get to the end. That's why you're thinking it through. And so in each moment, trying to be like, well, if I were Tala in this situation, I would do this. And if that was happening, this would happen. And that would, oh, wait, that means this would happen. Oh no, that means this would happen. And that kind of builds again in the more slice of life story, which this this series begins as. I felt like that was far more true than trying to have again that like overarching like thing. Obviously, we try to have the overarching plots of her progressing in rank, her seeking to get rid of her debts, her figuring out that different thing. So it's not just a meandering through the wilderness story, but it is more following a day-to-day thing rather than a step-by-step, the 10 easy steps to defeat the demon lord, which is also a great story.
Yeah. Are you still writing this series on Royal Road? Are you still releasing, chapters to it?
Yes, sir. Yeah. The end of book 14 is coming up on Royal Road, and I am actively writing and releasing book 15 for Patreon. And that is looking like it's the final book of the series. I may come back and tell side stories, and there's a very small possibility that this will go into book 16. But the last thing I don't want to try to milk this series for all it's worth. I want it to be a tale that I'm able to put a nice pin on the end of, partially because I feel like I'm just starting out as an author, especially as a professional author, and having a longer series that is enjoyable and hopefully done well will be something that I think helps me going forward and helps readers be able to kind of trust that I'm not going to be writing into the wild blue yonder.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
I'm definitely sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, I mean, it's good that, you want your story to come to a natural end rather than trying to force it into a place where, like, okay, I'm writing exactly this many books and this is what's going to, occur. And so you kind of, you either write yourself into a corner of, like, I have to hurry up and get all these things done because this is how many books I said it was going to be. Or you end up just dropping a lot of storyline because it's like, well, it needs to be done now. So it's over.
Yeah.
So unsatisfying. I mean, I've read series like that, and it's just like, oh.
And that's a hard balance because I feel like the horror of so many things recently have been people being like, well, I need to close every door. I need to answer every question. Like, oh, where did his vest come from? You may or may not know what series I'm talking about. It's like, and it takes away the magic. It makes the whole world, the whole universe just seem so small. But also you don't want to, like you just said, Joel, leave all these hanging plot threads out there of like, wait, what happened with this and this and this and this? Mm-hmm. And so hopefully when this series lands, I'll find the happy medium where the things that need to be answered are answered, but there's still open questions that are more satisfying and interesting than, why didn't you answer that? If that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think say then you could.
So for me, I definitely want like proper warning that the series is coming to an end, like a book or two ahead of time, and then also like it to not feel rushed and also for it to be satisfying, if that makes sense. That is my ideal like closure to the end of a story.
So a series go ahead.
Of course, I'll get to the last book and I'll be like, I don't want to finish this because I don't want it to end.
So a series that is in the progression fantasy genre that I don't hear mentioned very much, that I feel like did this very, very well, is the Alex Virus books. It's, I think, 12 books in total. He's a diviner mage, and it's set in England. and it follows him as he's progressing. He starts out, and by the end, his magic is still the same, but he's gotten way better at using it without it like blowing up to like he's the most OP character ever. And it comes to a very satisfying ending where it's like, oh, huh. Like, again, like you didn't tie up every single thread of everything. You can see where things are going. And I'm satisfied. Like, this is great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I would say that also leaving, you know, a little bit of, you know, mystery and intrigue also gives the possibilities for, you know, if you ever want to come back and, you know, like, oh, well, writing us, you know, a side story on, you know, they went to that town and this was, or they met this character and then, you know, that character was really interesting and they weren't fleshed out. So now we can jump into that of that character and flesh out that character and stuff. So, you know, that is nice. You don't have to, you know, necessarily answer every question.
Yeah. And it's the hard thing, especially for questions where there's so much things like in daily life, you and I go around like we don't ask or think about it because we just know. But for someone reading about our world who wasn't from here, they'd be like, well, why not all these things? And so trying to write in that secondary world where it's like Tala's never going to think about this because she just knows it to be true. So how can I ever convey that to the reader? And so trying to find that and weave that in is interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting to see where her understanding was at the start of the series, because there's a lot of things that she didn't know about being a mage that she just wasn't told about, that we as a reader are discovering at the same time she is. And yeah, that's very interesting to see. With like, normally if you're in a fantasy world and you grew up there, you would know like these things, but the reader doesn't know, and she's like discovering it at the same time that you are. So it sort of, I don't know, it gives this feeling of like the magic in the world building is actually magical, if that makes sense, because like it's something you don't know about and you're learning, and as you are learning the magic that it, and you don't know everything about it, you sort of go off on this like tangent of like, oh, what if this could happen, or this could happen, or that'd be really cool if this was a thing, or like you could do this with the system, or like whatever. And I think that aspect of like limitless possibility just makes your magic systems like next level. If that, yeah,
I agree. Yeah, thank you. It's a fun thing, and I've had several people ask me like, oh, what would an inscription actually look like? What would an inscription set look like? And I've had other people, I've been honored to have some people actually get like tattoos of some of the book covers. And they like asked me like, oh, if I had magic that did this, what would the inscription look like? And my answer is, I have no idea. I'm not a visual designer. If I tried to do it, if I tried to impose it on your imagination, what I came up with would be worse than what you're imagining right now. So we're just going to leave it in your imagination. And I think that's one of the things that novels, like written or audio, has that's superior to a lot of modern content with regard to movies, TV shows, even video games, is we can leave things in the hands of the reader and hands of the listener of like, I mean, you can just say the woman was beautiful and everyone's going to think of something slightly different. The man was handsome. The man was beautiful. Like everyone's going to think of something slightly different. And I don't have to try to convince you of my image. Whereas as soon as we put an actor in that role or an actress or even like a 3D rendering for a video game, it's like some people are going to agree, maybe even most people will agree, but some people will be like, why? I mean, that person's ugly. They're not my type at all. And so it is again, like one of the benefits of this medium.
Yeah, I know from talking with a lot of voice actors, something they're wary of doing is like putting music into the books, is because one, that's going to have a huge inspiration going forward if this like series takes off. Sorry, my dog is like going crazy.
Oh,
But yeah, so I don't know.
so Paul,
It's
when
definitely
you're
a struggle.
doing merch, do you ever have that issue where someone comes to you and says, "Hey, I want this thing from my book, make it happen," and you're like, "It's a word description. What do you want me to do with this?"
I will honestly say that I am not an artist. I can take art and make it into an object. I can, like take that artwork and make it into a three-dimensional wearable, item. But actually coming up with the artwork is beyond me. I'm lucky if I can make stick figures and, that kind of stuff. But now I can take someone's drawing and turn it into, metal art, or print it on a t-shirt or do stuff like that. But I will, hands down give it to artists. Being able to take a word description and make that into a tangible like item is an amazing ability that I appreciate. And I was going to say, like, I'm actually looking at your artwork for your books right now. So who is your artist, and what was some of the inspiration for the covers for your books?
Absolutely, yeah. Cart Studio is a studio out of Asia. I actually don't know which country they're based in, which maybe I should, but I don't. And that's one that Selkie from Dragon Eye Moon pointed me toward. And I think that most of the covers for those books, for Dragon Eye Moon books, came from them as well. And with regard to the inspiration for the covers themselves, I tried to find a pivotal scene or concept from the books to make it work. So to be clear, these are the fully colorized, more fantasy images. For the paperbacks, for the first 6 books, there's also an iconographic version of the cover, which I apologize, I cannot remember the name of the artist who did those. I actually had Dakota Kraut of Mountaindale Press helped me hunt down and get those covers done. And I apologize, I can't remember the name of the artist who did those. But it is funny because those did less well on like Amazon and Audible and whatnot. But I actually have a significant enduring readership of people who say they only came and started listening because of the iconographic covers in the first times. So it's kind of like this balance of you'll maybe catch more, but you might catch different. And yeah, it's a funny thing.
Yeah, it's been interesting to see how covers have evolved, like from like the start of like progression fantasy as opposed to now.
Mhm.
Oh my gosh. Sorry, I need to step away from the mic for a minute.
More than fine.
You take care of this for a bit.
Yeah, no, we'll chat. Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, I'm looking at the book covers on Amazon, and I mean, so it looks like they mostly just went from the full color, to a much simpler, like almost like a vectorized, what I would call a vectorized graphic. And I mean, which makes it simpler for, I'm sure, for printing and stuff. But I would still say that they kept the inspiration of the original artwork.
So, funnily enough, it was actually the other way around, where we did
Okay.
the iconographic covers first. And
Mm.
then when I went to Cart Studios to kind of redo them, I sent them the iconographic and said, "This is the idea of what I want to make, but
Mhm.
with, again, more detail and more." But you're right. I think most of the time when the images are done, when those things are done, you do go the other direction of a more
Right.
detailed image to the iconographic. Yeah,
Sorry.
it is pretty funny that in this situation we did it reverse of that. The iconographic covers came first.
Right. Which, like, okay, so depending on the medium I'm working in, like if I'm working in a t-shirt, like say a t-shirt print, you want more of the, the full color, aspect. Whereas if I'm doing, say, like laser engraving, I want the, the simple, like, because it doesn't transfer as well. The minute details don't transfer as well to say like wood burning or something like that. So, those covers would work well for, like if I was going to engrave it in glass or put it on wood or something, whereas the full color, like if I was going to literally print that on something, like it's just so much more visually engaging.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so that's where my mind always goes to, like, okay, how does this transfer into, like merch as far as like mediums and stuff like that?
Absolutely. I can see that. I mean, that's your business. It makes sense that you're thinking in that direction.
Yeah, that definitely reminds me of like your earlier book covers. It's got the more like stylized black and white sort of. I feel like that would be a lot easier to engrave into wood.
Yeah. Now, so on you say you do Patreon and so your Patreon and then the Royal Road, and do you have a Discord?
Yes,
well?
sir.
Okay. So now how much of those would you say have influenced your book at all? Like, I know that, some authors do like polls where they put up polls and, we'll say, hey, like, here's a few ideas, like which one do you think is the best? And then whatever their audience picks, they run with, like, so have you done any of that stuff? And like, how much have, those different mediums influenced your writing in the books?
That's a great question. So I haven't ever done any polls, really, not in that sense, at least not on Royal Road. So let's see how to best answer this question. First, I have a group of beta readers that have just been fantastic, and they get things before it goes to Patreon, and they very much have occasionally said like, Josh, you need to shift this, or wait, didn't you say it was this way? I was like, you are right, I did. I need to change that. Or they've made suggestions, or occasionally I've gotten, or I should say Tala's gotten herself into a position of like, I am not sure what she would actually do in this situation. Like, I feel like if I was there, I would do this, but that really doesn't feel like her. Like, and then so getting kind of bouncing that feedback around. And that's kind of with the beta readers some. Then with the patrons, which most of the interaction there is on Discord. We're very, very blessed and happy to have a thriving Discord. I think it's a little over 1,500 people on there. It's been a little while since I checked, though, so it could be a little higher, a little lower. And yeah, they talk back and forth, and we have some very, very involved readers there. And I used to be able to read through all the comments, all the chats, and I would say that, excuse me, that was a strange line to pass, where at one point there was suddenly more comments going back and forth about my story than I could keep up with. Like, that was a very humbling experience of like, oh wow, this is beyond me now. I cannot keep up with this. But still, I try to drop in and occasionally either answer questions because they can flag me, or ask, or just read through and see what's going on. And there are occasional times where people said, oh my gosh, this just happened. That connected with these 6 things. That means this is coming. And I'm like, that's an amazing idea. Yes, it is. Yes, that is what's coming.
It is now.
Yeah. And like, I appreciate that they not only have enough of the world built in their head that they can follow those through lines, but that it's in such a way that it can come out and shift and mold in that way. Whereas like 30 years ago, if I was writing the story, I would have to write it start to finish, or at least a book at a time. And like, I hope I didn't miss anything. I hope I didn't do anything wrong, and then put it out there and people take it or leave it. And then, yeah, to Royal Road, the people there are amazing at doing grammar edits and corrections there, which it's amazing. No matter how many people you have go over even something as small as a single chapter, there's always going to be at least one error left. And then you think it's perfect, and then more people will go and, oh, yep, there's one more. Yeah. And one more. And it will always be one more. So yeah, I think with Royal Road and that's kind of how that's influenced. And then a big one is one of my Patreon tiers. I think it's actually Selkie that recommended having a higher level tier where people can influence the story a little bit. And what I chose for that is they can do a side character insert where I work with them, like hey, I want a person who has like this type of magic or looks this way or has this name or does this as a job. And kind of the caveat I put of like, well, it has to work in the world. Like if someone's like, hey, I want a cyborg, it's like, I won't call it a cyborg, but if you want someone that has like metal implants or like things like a union of flesh and technology, like we can figure that out where it fits in the world. And yeah, I've been really, really grateful to have quite a few of those through the years. And sometimes people come on for 1 month, they get their character and they never come back up to that level. And that's more than fine. I mean, that's what it's for. And then I've had one person she became I won't call her out by name, but I'll at least state that she became that top tier patron the December that I started having a Patreon. And she's still that top tier patron. And she still reads the story as it comes out. And she basically never comments in the Discord or in the chat, but she just enjoys the story. I'll reach out to her occasionally and we'll chat. And yeah, she just quietly is there enjoying it. And that's been really a humbling thing to have someone be that invested in the story for so long alongside me. But no, it's been a lot of fun. And actually some people's favorite characters have come out of that, where it's like, oh yeah, put this forward. And it's like, well, to make that person fit, they'd fit here. And what can we use that to reveal about the world? What can we use that to do it? And it's helped the story so much, I think, enable the side characters to be more than just set pieces, where there are actually a good number of the side characters where there's like hundreds or thousands of words, or other people have spent dozens of hours like building this character, and they're in the book for like a chapter or two. And that fan interaction has really, I think, helped make the whole world deeper and better. So long answer to a short question.
No, it was great. Yeah, no, I would say that too. Like, it's nice having the, like now those people feel invested in, in the thing. Not only is it something they enjoy, but it's also something that they helped influence, which is nice, and also like, I know from the, like a creator's aspect of, like having someone enjoy the thing that you made is a good feeling.
Yeah, very much so. It's like I've said it before, I'll say it again. It's a humbling thing where I feel like even if no one was reading it, even if no one was paying me to do it, I still would be writing. I did it for years. And I mean, I'll say it wasn't as good then, but it's a thing that's like, wow, because you all are reading it and taking your time and investing your resources, I get to do this as a living. I get to support my family. I get to work from home. I get to, and that's only because people are willing to read it and enjoy it.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I know you mentioned Royal Road a little earlier. Would you like to talk about your other series you've been working on?
Sure. Yeah, no, as I'm closing down Millennial Mage, one of the things actually that's helped me continue writing it, and something that I'm shifting over to, is I've been writing a series called Choose Your Apocalypse, where Millennial Mage is very much, secondary world, higher fantasy, and a progression story, not a lit RPG. Choose Your Apocalypse is a system like End of the World. I'll word it that way, that is on Earth. And so in that, it's a brain break from Millennial Mage because it is so different, but it still also keeps the creative parts of my mind working. So it's not like a brain shut off, which I have some things that I do for that. But it, again, like kind of helps churn up my creativity while letting my brain not have to work in the same way. And so that's a story that follows. Do you want me to give a short little description of it?
Yes,
okay.
Please.
So that follows Alex Johnson kind of at the advent of the system apocalypse, as the as multiple worlds are combined in integration, and he's sadly killed. And so the powers that be, they offer those who would have otherwise died an apology tutorial, where they can choose their apocalypse in which to either die or excel. In essence, that comes from interactions with management in bigger companies, where there's always some level of like, yeah, some bad things are going to happen through this project, and we'll be willing to just pay out damages if they happen, or like mitigate it where we can. And so he's kind of he suffers as one of the unfortunate 10% that would have been killed by their shuffling of worlds together. And the system, because it's not a benevolent system, but it does try to enforce some evenness. And so they're like, well, no, you can't just come from above and kill him. So you've got to offer him an option. If he wants to die, if he wants to throw himself down a dragon's throat and get eaten alive, I mean, we're not going to stop you, but you got to give him a chance.
Mm-hmm. Now that one sounds really interesting. I'm really excited to read. So where are you at on that one?
Absolutely. So in terms of books, I've finished writing book 1 of that. And book 1 is almost done on Royal Road. It is done on Patreon. And I'm releasing the beginning of book 2 on Patreon. With regard to his story, he's finished the first scenario of his apology tutorial, which, slight spoilers, is he chooses shambling, like standard zombies, because his rationality, take it or leave it, is, man, in zombie movies, even standard humans at least have a fighting chance. If I'm going to have magic and things, I should do great. And so obviously it doesn't go perfectly, but it's that sort of thing. So he's in an undead zombie scenario to begin with, and that's book 1. And then book 2 is basically a second scenario that finishes out the apology tutorial. And then at the end of book 3, those who survive get back to Earth and then go from there. And so, yeah, I'm writing that second book right now. And then for the first 3 books are actually, I'm very grateful to be contracted with Athon for those 3. And so that should be nice. It's far more in their wheelhouse as a lit RPG, a full lit RPG, than Millennial Mage was. So I think it's a good fit for them.
Yeah. I'd say Athon's done a lot of great things lately, and they seem to be popping up everywhere. So it's great to see all the great things that's coming from them, and all the people who are working with them. Hopefully, it elevates everyone.
Yeah, very much so. And it does seem like they care about what they're doing, and it's not a purely money-making venture. I mean, I'm glad they're making money at it, because that's how they're able to keep doing it. It's not altruistic, obviously, and it shouldn't be. Again, because how they're putting food on the table, but it definitely seems like they're doing it because they care, and because it's something that is actually of interest to them and a passion of theirs.
Yeah. I don't know who their like talent scout is or what, but they have an absolute phenomenal list of authors and book series that they've published. So
yeah, I definitely feel very honored to be among that list, even though it's not published yet, and it won't come out till I have all the first 3 books to them. Mm-hmm. So not both technically an Athon author and technically not an Athon author. So you may see me at their booth, or at least adjacent to it at the con. But yeah.
Okay, so it's contingent.
Well, so not contingent, like paperwork's all signed and everything, but they're not going to start publishing until they have all 3 manuscripts in hand, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I'd say that seems to be a pretty fairly standard thing. They want at least a trilogy before they're willing to publish, which as a reader, it's nice. I can appreciate all the people who do the Patreon and Royal Road and all that stuff, but just reading a chapter at a time for me is like, okay, like there's a chapter, now I have to wait a whole week. I don't want to wait a week. I want it all now. So
I don't know. There's some authors that just churn it out. Like I release three a week for Millennial Mage, and that feels like a lot. But then, like for Primal Hunter, isn't it like 5 a week usually? And then obviously there's ones who do even more or different. And
Yeah, I think so. The sad part is though, is those authors have like almost created an unrealistic expectation for the rest of the people because everyone else is like, well, this person's putting out 5 a week. Why aren't you? And it's like, because that person's crazy. Like, I don't
yeah,
know how they're putting out that much, stuff. Like, if you look at traditional publishing, like, a book a year is just a
Mhm.
perfectly normal standard. Whereas,
yeah,
like if you go to Lit RPG and people are, like releasing a book a month, and it's like, this is ridiculous. And people are still like, well, it's been a month and I don't have a new book. Where's my new book? And it's like, okay, guys, like let's settle down. Like, they're trying their best. I'd rather quality than quantity.
Mhm.
And so like I appreciate all the people who put out that much, but at the same time, I'm like, okay, guys, like that's not a normal standard. We should try to, idealize.
Yeah. And then there's even the crazy ones like Eric or Always Rolls a One, who writes A Soldier's Life and World Sphere. It's like he's working on something like 4 series at a time and putting out
Mm.
multiple chapters for each one every week. It's crazy. Like, and they're good. Like, I'm quite honestly, A Soldier's Life is one of my favorite series. Like, it's funny because like in many ways there's nothing specifically unique about it. It does have many unique aspects, but it's not like, oh, and there was a dragon here. I never was like, no, it's nothing like that. It's nothing crazy, but it's just good. It's just enjoyable. And yeah, I aspire to that level of creativity and that level of good writing, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I don't know how I don't know how he keeps like, the story separate in his mind. Like I would be so like, like which story? Because I mean, I have the problem. So I'm primarily an Audible user because I have dyslexia and some other stuff. So like I do only Audible, and I get, sometimes I'm confused, especially if, two authors are using the same narrator. If I jump between stories, I'm like, I don't know which story I'm even reading anymore. And there's certain narrators like, Travis Baldry or Jeff Hayes, or there's a few of them out there that they have so many series that they're narrating that you're like, I don't even know what book I'm reading anymore. Like, why is this person in this book? Like, I don't remember that. And you're like, wait, that's because I'm not reading that book. I'm actually reading this book. And yeah, so like it does get confusing sometimes. And I don't know how Always Rolls a One keeps his story straight, because I would totally be like, oh, like, this character, wait a second, this character's not in that book. This doesn't make any sense at all. So yeah, I appreciate the level of brain, like manipulating he's doing, because it's crazy.
Yeah, and it's really funny. Even with just 2 stories that I'm working on now, I'll be writing through, and occasionally in Choose Your Apocalypse, I'll be like, and Tala did. Wait, nope, Tala's not here. It's like,
Yeah, that was me for I don't know, DCC, where you have like Travis Baldry as like a cameo appearance. I'm like, wait, what am I listening to? Travis is in this. What?
Yeah, DCC
I
is
know
another
that
one
voice.
that,
Yeah.
yeah, it's they've had so much talent, involved in that series. And like just the fact that they got God, I can't even remember his name now, the actual actor to,
Patrick Warburton.
yeah, Patrick Warburton, to voice a character on that book. And like I love everything that DCC is doing. I'm a mod on like most of their stuff. And they've elevated the whole genre, but at the same time, like it's, people have these expectations now of like, well, why isn't your stuff that way? And it's like, okay, like I understand that they're doing great things and I love that, but that's not everyone. You can't expect everyone to be at that level already. Like let's get everyone up to that level, and then cool, we'll be there. But you can't expect everyone else to start at that level.
yeah,
I mean, I feel like as I'm reading more and more of the genre recently, there's been a lot more of uh, inspiration coming from DCC. Like, I don't know if you guys have noticed that or not.
Yeah, I think it's just brought so many, other people who would have never found the genre into the genre. Like there's so many, like, now it doesn't matter where you go on which social media, you go to TikTok and there's, people talking about it. There's, like everywhere. It's everywhere. And I mean, I love that. I love the fact that it's gained so much attention and that it's, it's brought so many more people into the genre, which is great. I love that. And but it's just I don't the only thing I don't appreciate is that when people, like set expectations, because of that for people, and it's like, okay, I we should be wanting everyone to reach that level, not expecting everyone to just start at that level. And it's I don't know, it's a double-edged sword, I'd say, in the fact that, I both love it and the fact that God, I'm sorry. I'm getting attacked by flies out here. This is the only thing I don't like about weather warming up.
Kind of got off on a tangent, but why don't we start wrapping up here? We're at the 1 hour mark, so why don't we let people know where they can find you? I don't know who would like to go first.
I can, sure.
Jonathan?
Yeah,
Sure.
Josh, you go first.
So I have my website at jlmullins.com. Then you can find my books on Amazon and Audible, the stories on Royal Road, and then we've got a Discord that we'd love to join you at. And I do my best to have people at me on Discord. I'll try to respond within a reasonable amount of time. Sometimes I'm asleep. I mean, unfortunately, that's got to happen sometimes. And I would say that that's not been abused so far. So as long as you continue the trend, I'm happy to chat with you.
That's what good moderators are for.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Oh yeah. That was another huge blessing is I had one of my earlier patrons was a Discord guy, Dax. He came in and he's like, "Hey, you don't have a Discord. Can I build that for you?" I was like, yes, please.
Yeah. Yeah, it's, it's a good community.
It is indeed. So, Paul?
Paul, yeah.
So-
where can people find you?
So honestly, just random social medias. If you search up the Dungeon Meetup, which hopefully you can actually find the right one, but you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all the things. We're still working on building our website, or you can, if you find me, I'm on Discord as Noodle Dragon. There's that's where that name comes from. I'm active on Lit RPG. On, like I said, I'm a moderator for the Dungeon Crawler Carl. I'm around, so if you find me and you can message me, and if it's a project you want to work on, then let me know and we can do that. But yeah, that's I hopefully a website coming soon. Oh, also conventions. I will be at Jordan Con next week, and then right now we're at that one, and then we'll be at Lit RPG Con in July.
Yeah. I will definitely be at Lit RPG Con. I unfortunately am not going to be able to make it to Jordan Con, but I'll definitely be at Lit RPG Con.
Yeah, probably should have mentioned that as well. Yeah, I'll be a panelist at least one panel at Lit RPG Con, and so I should be wandering around. I'm the guy with the beard and the vest. Probably not the only one, but I'm one of those.
You just have to find all the guys with beards and vests and be like,
Yeah.
"Are you?" No. Yeah, but Progression Fantasy Podcast, obviously you found this episode, you found our YouTube. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Also in the description, there is the Discord and also a link to the Audible and Amazon for Millennial Mage. So if this episode sounded interesting at all, definitely go check that out. And
well, if we still have
Yeah.
a few minutes, don't forget about what you're reading.
oh yeah. So what have you guys been reading? I don't know if
Well-
you've had that pulled up or not.
Sure. I mean, with The Mark of the Fool just ending recently, the last book coming out, I am diving through that whole series. So I haven't gotten to book 10 yet because I wanted to reread through the whole series before I did that. And I'm almost there. Like you, Paul, I'm doing audiobooks. So that's something like 250 hours of audio. I'm not quite all the way through it yet, but I'm getting there. So that's been filling my thoughts. And then J.M. Clark does a great job on that series. Highly recommend it. And yeah, he's a good fella. And then the kind of one I recently finished, although that's out, is 12 Miles Below. That's one that I hadn't come across before. And then I can't remember who recommended it to me, but I just ate it up. It was fantastic. So
is that a progression fantasy?
It is. Yeah. It's a far future, like it's a sci-fi progression fantasy. It is not a lit RPG. Unless I'm misremembering something.
I would say that we're fairly lenient too, because there's so many like books in that people are like like in the lit RPG space, and it's like, okay, that's not lit RPG at all, but we accept it because it's
yeah. I would say like if you said it was lit RPG or progression fantasy, a lot of the times those terms are intermingled, especially as far as like community goes. Like it's the same exact community. But as far as like book series go, I'd consider like lit RPG as like actual game mechanics. I don't know, like leveling up or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Some sort of game mechanic in there.
So Paul, what have you been reading?
Yeah, Paul.
So I went through a few lately. I did read The Noob Returns from Ryan Rimmel. I've read all the books in that series, and it's a series I love. Jonathan McLean is one of he's definitely in my top 10 as far as narrators go, and it's such a fun story. And then of course I read the Mageling book. I hadn't read it actually until Joel was like, "Hey, do you want to be part of this podcast?" And I was like, "Sure." Like, let me know who. And he was like, "Okay, like here's the book." And I was like, "Done. I'll read it." And so I've read that, and I want to say that it took me about 3 days to read. And so I do read I accelerated, like I'm at like usually anywhere between 1.3 and 2% speed. Tess Irondale is I love her. I do follow, like I'm on her Patreon, and I do like her work. And so it was easy to jump into, especially with her reading it. And then so after I was finished with that, I read All the Skills book 1, because that was another one that I've always heard so much about, and I just have it's been on the TBR for forever, and it just happened to be like free for Audible Plus, and so I was like, okay, well, why not? And so I read All the Skills book 1, and again, Luke Daniels, love him. The only book I think I've ever read by Honor Ray, but an amazing writer. And then right now I'm currently reading Stray Cat Strut by Ravensdagger. And it was one that I was like, I really didn't like understand, I guess, the what the story was about before I started reading it. And then and I'd never read it or listened to anything by Holly Jackson before. I mean, it had Pavi Prosco on it, so that was a lure, but I'd never read or listened to anything by Holly Jackson before, and I've been enjoying the heck out of it. It's been a great book. It's fun, it's entertaining, it's like it's a good story. So I'm I have 5 hours left of that book, and then then I'll probably jump back into book 2 of Millennial Mage, and then I don't know. There's always a list. There's always, the TBR is never ending. So
I hear you. I actually got a weekend off, so I didn't have an episode last week, and since then I've been I mean, I didn't listen to a whole bunch, but I did I stumbled across a new series called All the Jobs and Classes. I just wanted one skill, not them all. And yeah, it's literally that long of a title. I just call it All the Jobs and Classes.
It sounds like an anime title.
Yeah, yeah, it does. But no, it was phenomenal. I absolutely enjoyed the heck out of that one. And then also I read Skill Eater, book 3 came out. Very good, very good. And then what's coming next? We're gonna have Adam Beswick coming on at the end of the month. So I'll be reading his new series, and we'll be having him on for that. So stay tuned.
Very nice. Well, thank you for having me. I feel honored to be here, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
had a great time.
All right. Well, thank you, audience, for stopping by. And on that note, bye.